Let's go. Hey guys, welcome to my fourth video for this demo review series. This one is going to be a follow-up video for the previous video that I did. So in the last one I looked at how Captain plays his mid fights. Captain being a top level pocket who's been at the top level for a long time. So if you haven't watched that video of mine yet, you can go watch that right now. I think I'll put a link on the screen or in the description or something. Maybe both, if I figure out how to put links on the screen. But it's a follow-up video of that video, so obviously it's gonna build upon that previous video. But if you haven't watched that yet, that's fine, because I'm gonna do a short recap anyways of the previous video. Alright. In the previous video, I basically looked at how Captain plays his mid-fights, and I managed to boil that down to three kind of stages he goes through. So in the first stage, is to just look around, look at what's happening on the mid-fight, and look at what everyone's doing, and try to sort of see what's gonna happen, so you can predict, or so you can plan your next move as to have as much impact as you possibly can. That's the first stage. And then the second thing is deciding who you're going to attack. So obviously when you're playing pocket, you're supposed to jump at the enemy team at the mid-fight to give your own team a chance to walk forward. Without getting pressure too hard, because you're taking a lot of pressure and fire away from your own team. So you want to bomb someone, but there are some things that you want to take into account here. But that's just basically the second stage. You decide who you're going to jump, and usually for Captain, that was he either bombed like an important target when they were alone, or just went behind the enemy team and went onto an important target. Or there were also a couple of times where he went for someone who was not that important, but doing so in a way that he would remain safe and his team could actually help him, and that he wouldn't die for like a pick or a kill that's not that important for his team. So that brings us to the third stage. And the third stage is to simply jump that player. And I think here there's not much that's going to change in this video or on other maps. I think it's just going to be the same. Like if you jump someone who isn't that important, then you don't want to die for it, so you stay safer. But that's the basic idea. And the idea of this video is to see if that still applies on different maps. So we've seen it on Badlands, and we've seen that clearly it applies there. But Badlands isn't even in the map rotation anymore for the European TF2 League. So we want to look at some maps that actually are in the rotation and see if there's anything different here. Let's jump into it, I guess. I've downloaded two demos, Logjam and Process. Both of them, Captain didn't get that many heals from his medic, so I think they're playing around their scouts a lot now. But yeah, I think that isn't going to change the mid-fights that much. And these are both matches that have quite a few of them. I guess we'll start with Process. What I think is going to be the outcome here. What the fuck? Okay, so it's not Process. I think I may have misnamed the demos, but it's fine. We'll start with this one first. This is for me. But if we see some different things, I think it's going to be that we're going to see more earlier and higher bombs, because on Process is really like you're almost certain what the enemy team is going to do. Okay, this gives us a chance to watch the Logjam, the Process demo instead. I've made a mistake, but it's fine. I'll download the Process demo later. Okay. Gonna need to mute this guy. Right. Logjam. Logjam is an interesting one. I'm not sure what to expect here, really. I guess we'll just see.
Alert. The control point is being contested.
Whoa! That was entirely different from
Control point is
what we
being
saw in
captured.
Badlands. So he just goes in instantly and goes really deep with a nice pogo jump. Jesus Christ, that was an insane bomb. Alright, so yeah, he doesn't do anything that we saw in Badlands in this one. He just jumps through, goes really deep. He did distract that scout a bit in the beginning, did a bit of damage to him, and then when he went in for his bomb here, I'm pretty sure like he wasn't looking around at what was happening. He was just here. He couldn't see anything, but he can see how much cap time there is on the points. Like you can see ×3 or something at the bottom of your screen. So he knows how many people are on there, so that's why he probably knew that he could bomb there. Also his team can call it to him.
Control point is being captured.
And he just goes in at the perfect time. Like his team also followed up on him perfectly, so that was an insane mid. Oh wait. Pappy just saw something cool, so I'm gonna rewind here. Just to give everyone a chance to experience this. I mean, I didn't see it myself, so I'm curious really. Let's go spectate Pappy. Pappy hits insane rockets on Captain. Just hits every direct, obviously. So he's just jumping in and spamming the enemy team out really well. Alright, okay. You can stand on this shack thing, yeah. So another mid fight, let's just look at if he does the same thing. I kind of agree with that doing what we saw in Badlands, like jumping a safe place at first to get an overview on this mid is not really necessary. The enemy team is basically always coming out of the same place. They're always coming through choke. I've never seen a team roll out somewhere else than choke before. It does look like he's gonna do something else here though, so let's see. Take a look. Right, so here it does jump the left side. He does actually jump some safe place and get some vision. And you can see that the enemy team was getting really low. And again, like Badlands, he's spamming, and he sees an opening. Med and Demo basically alone. So he gets on them and gets good damage on them. So that's an interesting one because it's actually way more similar to Badlands than what we saw in the previous mid. And it's kind of how I've been playing these mids. You know, I was like, oh, I'm gonna try to mimic Captain and jumping a safe place first, and jumping the shack is a good place for that. I can see that Captain's actually really good at spamming though. I mean, for me personally, when I'm spamming, I usually don't do that much. But I think it comes down to knowing where the enemy team is walking, and which is experience. Right, let's look at one more just to... Okay, just roll out. Very nice. So he isn't doing the deep bomb. He isn't doing the pogo bomb here this time, but he's just jumping deep instantly. Ooh, okay. So his team is in a weird position. They're not really following up. It's only the Lash here helping Captain. Marish is here as well, but he's trying to deny this jumping soldier, of course, as he should be. But Captain goes really low because of his bomb. So the thing to note here is that we are seeing different things from Captain. So he's trying a bunch of things. I don't know if this is an official or a scrim, but he isn't just practicing one thing. Like, he's trying a lot of different things and seeing what works and what doesn't. I think that's really good from him. I want to watch some more. Another one. Let's fucking go.
Alert. The control point is being captured.
Ooh, he gets countered hard by Pappy there. So Pappy sees him walk up there and just jumps him to place one good rocket on him. And then he just jumps away. I mean, his scout should be able to follow up on that. But no, they're not in a good position. It's a good play from Pappy, getting in and doing some damage, but managing to escape as well. But then again, if Captain and his team can initiate quickly here, then Pappy's going to be on the back foot, and Seeds is going to be healing him instead of the rest of the team. Alright, that's interesting. I was kind of expecting Captain to jump really deep there. But he's banking on the enemy team leaving here, so, and it works out. I mean, he coordinates with Starkey to go in for the play behind there, and they take out the medic. But they do lose the mid though. I think maybe they kind of expected the enemy team to leave too early there. But if we're just looking purely at captain's play, it's kind of, you know, he didn't do exactly the same thing as Badlands, but I mean, he's trying to get an overview of the mid again here, and then trying to decide what his play is. So he didn't go in for too early of a play. He didn't initiate that hard. He just sort of waited for the mid to develop, and then he went in. Yeah, I think that's going to be it for logjam. I'm just going to download the process demo now, and then we can take a look at how that plays out, so we don't, you know, I don't have to edit too much. Again, so this one should play out a bit differently. Right, so captain's deciding to go in really early here and initiate for his team. But where's his team? Yeah, this team is not with him at all, so he just dies. I don't know if that was bad coordination or what that was, but thing. If you could see that the bomb captain did was he jumped, I think, from here onto this thing, and then he pogoed into the two scouts here. And the thing is that it's good that he really like got onto those scouts, but usually on process, it's also really good to go really high, because I've noticed that when I bomb low, it can happen that scouts can sometimes deny me, which didn't happen to captain here, I think, because the scouts weren't quite ready for him to do that, and also because he jumped from here and pogoed onto this thing, he had a lot of speed, so the scouts couldn't really deny him, so he could get in here. But then if his team had been on the left side with him, that would have been so sick. You know, because it's like the thing where you can see, you can have your team as a line, like pushing up here, like jumping on the crates and all that, while captain's backing off. If that had happened there, they could have caught some chasing players. So if that had been a left side mid from 7, that would have been really good. Meanwhile, this round is ending, so we have another mid to look at. How perfect is that? Alright, so he jumps the rock, but he backs off there quite quickly. Where is the sticky going? I want to see. I want to see if the demo's spamming it at the rock or... No, he's just trying to hit the medic, I guess. And does some damage to captain. Alright, so captain does what I was expecting this whole map, finally. I was expecting him to just bomb off of here onto here and go really high. This scout shooting at him. This scout is not even looking. But... like, if you go really high like that, then you have such a good opportunity to see what's happening on the mid. So it's basically like stage 1 from Badlands, if I have to make that comparison, because like you're getting an overview of the mid, but you have to decide really quickly what you do. But I think that's an awesome play, jumping off this thing and going that deep, and that high especially, because he's taking fire from whichever scout it was who was on here, and then he could also see that there's players disconnected here away from the medic and the rest of the team, so he could go to attack there. I think this scout could have died if he played it a bit better. But yeah, generally jumping high can be really awesome. Yeah, do I need to recap this? I don't think so, man. I think it speaks for itself. He doesn't jump a safe place to get some vision on what's happening, but instead he just jumps really high, because you could see that the demo was on the points as well. Like if you're in this situation here, then it's quite easy to just look across here and know what's happening. I mean, you're almost 100% sure that there's scouts on this rock and on this thing, so you can count on that really. And if you bomb from here, then there's nothing they can do to deny you. You can land wherever the fuck you want. So I think that's a good play for process. I think on Badlands it's different because teams can go either side, and the deep bomb on Badlands is like, it's more risky because it's harder for your team to follow up. And on process, if your team is in a good position before you bomb, then I mean, obviously on Badlands, if your team is in a good position before you bomb, they're going to be able to follow up as well. But I think on process, like, there's just more chance of them being in a good position. It's just easier. Honestly, I'm really starting to wonder if this is like an official that they're playing here, because captain's doing different things every mid. And also in the previous game they also paused, so it could be. Oh, that's a mid fight I just missed. It's fine. Let's go to the next one. Actually, no, I mean, they lost that mid fight. I think we want to watch one where they lose. Is he going to speed shot all the way into the left side here? Kind of looks like it. Otherwise he wouldn't be looking at the ground like this, is what I mean. So he didn't really look at what's happening right now, so he's just gonna go deep, I guess. He is. Really interesting. And again he goes to this area. So I'm hoping that he actually has follow-up from his team this time, because last time it didn't go very well. So we want a scout to run around the corner here and come back him up right now. Alright, so he's taking a ton of fire, but his entire team is on the completely opposite side of him. Actually though, that wasn't a bad play at all, because he's still 180 health. He can still do whatever he wants on this mid fight. So he was kind of counting on the health pack being here, which is, I mean, it's really good. It turned quite a bad play into actually a really good play, because he took the attention from these scouts for the entire beginning of the mid. However, like, if we look at the mid here, then it kind of looks like his team is on the back foot here. Especially with these two soldiers bombing Raymond, him being only 80 health. Holy crap. We're, like, look at this, we're 7 minutes into this game and there's been like 4 mid fights already. It's pretty crazy. I don't know if that's really representative of the entire game. But I think I'm gonna leave it at that for now. Because I do have an official game to play tonight. It's exciting stuff. I think overall we saw that he's trying a bunch of different things here. Way more than he was doing on Badlands. On Badlands he was almost doing the same thing every time. He only bombed really deep once on Badlands, and the other times he always jumped the enemy train and just looked around first. But I think the difference is that on Process and Logjam, being more open maps, you can kind of see what's happening way more easily. And also, Process being a map that you have the big crates on. Let me go to the mid actually. So on Process, like, you have the big crates in the way here, so you can't really see from this side to this side very easily. You can only see who's on top and who's like in this sort of area here. I mean, I don't mean on the bridge, I mean this area. So you can't really see that easily what's happening or what's going on the mid fight, but since it's Process, like, you have so much experience on this map. You know, whenever you play like a random game with a bunch of people, like, Process is always played basically, so you have a bunch of experience on that, and I think that's why you don't really need that information as desperately as you do on like Logjam, for example. And from Captain personally, we saw a bunch of different plays, like jumping deep from this thing, pogoing into the left side. He jumped the left side twice and distracted both the scouts there, which was a good play when he had the health pack to back up to, and he didn't die for that. But it's useless if your scouts aren't doing anything, so you do need your scouts, or I mean not your scouts, you see your entire team. If your entire team isn't really doing much and they're just sitting back while you're distracting both scouts here, then you're just giving them some ground really, and there's not much use to that. So if you do that, you want your other soldier to be bombing, and you want your team to be like pushing right side, for example, or you want them to come in here and come onto the left side with you, so you can actually take down those two scouts. I mean, if those scouts shoot 3 shots at you and your roamer bombs them, and your scouts are rushing them at the same time, then that's going to be a slaughter. So that was it for this 4th video. I hope I managed to put my 3rd video into perspective a bit, see that things are usually quite different. There's a lot of different things you can do on TF2, and especially on mid fights, so you're not really constrained to just doing one thing. If you haven't watched the third video yet, where I actually look at captains mid-fights on Badlands and do a really in-depth analysis, I suggest you go watch that if you're interested. And if you have any feedback or anything, just tell me in the comments or private message on YouTube or whatever, who knows, and I'll be happy to read it. Thanks.